Welcome back, everyone. It is Sunday sit-down time. We've got KTGR's Brenden Schaeffer joining us here for Sunday sit-down. Brenden, I know you got the pleasure of going down to Florida for spring training. How was that? Impressions of that Cardinal squad you got to see.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun getting to be down there. I was there for most of February and then the very beginning of March. And, honestly, when I left, things were looking up, things were looking good. And then I came back to Missouri, and all the Cardinals started getting injured. Now, there are various degrees of injuries for guys like Lars Nootbaar, Tommy Edman, Sonny Gray. But the Cardinals hopefully are going to find a way to get healthy relatively soon as they're kicking off the season and looking to avoid the type of start that they had that kind of sunk them early on in 2023.
Well, you seem to be the good luck charm. You leave and they all start getting injuries, Brenda. You might need to stick around there. Well, I don't know if you can believe it, but opening day so quickly going to be here in Missouri. Kind of tell me, I know the big news leading up to opening day here is that contract extension for Ollie Marmol. Kind of interesting timing. Worst finish they had in about 30 years just last season, now a contract extension. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it boils down to the powers that be with the Cardinals view last season having gone wrong for a lot of different reasons. But this extension for Ollie Marmol, to me, says that they are declaring, look, they don't believe Ollie Marmol was one of the main reasons for the struggles of 2023. They think they have the right manager in place despite the 90-plus losses that the team suffered last year. Now, obviously, 2024 is still a very, very important year for the organization to get things back on track. But I think the Cardinals wanted to avoid getting into a spot where if they did start slowly again this year, it wasn't always going to be, hey, the fingers point right at Ollie Marmol, you got to make a move fast. I don't think the Cardinals wanted to sort of set that precedent and set the table for that with a manager on an expiring contract. So I feel like the Cardinals wanted to set that message and say, look, we believe in Ollie Marmol still despite what happened last year, and we think he's going to be part of the reason that we're able to turn things around. An interesting message from the Cardinals, but I would say this, 2024 doesn't go their way. It's going to be Ollie Marmol and probably others who will have scrutiny on their job and their performance. I don't think this extension changes that, but it does allow things to be, I think, a little bit more comfortable in the early stages of the season.
Well, it's interesting because after that finish last season, how important do you feel like it is to kind of see some marked improvement in 2024 now?
I think it's huge, right? Like the Cardinals have long prided themselves on being an organization that's always in contention. They may not win the World Series every year, and they may have some postseasons where they do make an early exit for one reason or another, but they always want to be in the mix to try and make a run at another championship. And for them to come so far away from doing that last year, I think they had to look inward at some of the processes that they had within the organization and said, we are going to have to try and do some things differently and go out and be somewhat aggressive early in free agency to get some veteran pitching, get some guys that we think can turn the tide here so that this doesn't become a new trend line for the organization, right? I think right now you can at least have some plausible deniability if you're the Cardinals to say 2023 was a one-off. It's not a sign of a downward shift in the organizational expectations. But if it happens again, then you won't really be able to hide behind whatever excuses might come up. I do think it's important for the legacy of the organization for John Mozeliak is maybe he nears the end of his tenure in the current position that he's in within the next couple of years with the St. Louis Cardinals. There's a lot that's on the line, and I think everybody involved in the organization is aware of that and understands the pressures that are going to be on the team this season to turn things around.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. The pitching staff, of course, one of the big concerns going into this offseason, did some things to obviously address that, bring in Sonny Gray. What do you think about the improvements they tried to make there on that pitching staff? What did you see when you were down there in spring training?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because I think with the Cardinals and the way that they approached the offseason early on, they took a look at what happened in 2023 with the rotation and the number of guys that either were in the rotation and didn't really perform up to expectations like Adam Wainwright, or other guys that came in like maybe Dakota Hudson, Jake Woodford, guys that down the stretch were trying to fill those innings, and it just really wasn't working out. They didn't have the reliable veteran innings that they were hoping they could get from the team. So what did they do? They said, well, we believe that guys like Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson can come out and sort of be stabilizers for the middle to back portion of the rotation. Then they recognized we really do need somebody at the front, and they spent a little money on Sonny Gray, a guy who has a sterling reputation throughout baseball. So I can see that the Cardinals look to try and at least raise the floor to make sure maybe the bottom doesn't drop out on this coming season and I can definitely understand the approach that they took. I think some fans were maybe hoping to see a little bit more upside and high ceiling potential within the rotation that they put together. But with the way the Cardinals are established now, I do think if you have a steady middle-of-the-road rotation and then an offense maybe that can be one of the tops in the league with a bullpen that can hopefully at least keep games close or try and shut things down in the latter portions of games, there is a recipe to be had here with the Cardinals that can succeed in 2024. But, of course, a lot of variables in play. You're going to have to stay healthy and have to have the guys that you did pick up perform to expectations. I do think there's a chance of that happening. It's important for the Cardinals that it does.
Well, you've seen a history of, the Cardinals bringing back kind of those nostalgic names. You saw some of that this past offseason here. Matt Carpenter coming back. Of course, even Yadier Molina coming in an advisory role for the team this year. Bringing a guy back like Matt Carpenter, what do you think that does for this fan base? Really in a season where maybe they might need a little extra juice, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, and a lot of folks did kind of couch that as a nostalgia addition to the team, but it was interesting to hear down when we were in spring training, guys like Paul Goldschmidt say, hey, I pushed for Matt Carpenter to be part of this team again when he became a free agent, thought that he could bring a valuable presence not only on the field, but particularly within that clubhouse and sort of be a guy that knows he's likely to be in more of a bench role, a reserve role at this point in his career. But even a guy like Goldschmidt, who's been around the block for a long, long time, said there are things that I will learn and I will take from Matt Carpenter's presence being on this team. So the Cardinals have definitely taken that approach, veteran presence, leadership in the clubhouse as being something that can carry them back into contention this season.
Well, this Cardinals team obviously wants to not have what happened last year repeat in 2024. What do you think are kind of the tangible things that this team needs to do to not have a rocky start to this season?
Well, I think the pitching staff, the starting pitching in particular, is going to have to do its best to keep them within games, not let games get away from them in the early innings, as happens so often throughout the early portion of last season. And then seeing those guys like Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, if they give up a couple runs here and there in the early going, they still find a way to get you to the 6th or 7th inning so that there's not the strain on the bullpen that there really seemed to be last year. And then for the offense, it's really about consistency, right? I think it's been a kind of a trope of Cardinals teams in recent years that they'll have those games where they have a hit parade and they'll score a dozen runs, and it's really exciting on those days. But to not follow those days up with maybe getting shut out or only being able to scratch across 1 or 2 runs, it's got to be those consistent outings where if your starter, kind of veteran guys that they picked up, go 6 innings and give up 3 or 4 runs, knowing that the offense is going to stay with it for a full 9 innings and be able to match that and put up 4 or 5 runs of their own. It's consistency day to day for the team offensively, in my view, that could really carry the Cardinals a long way.
Well, Brenden, happy warm weather is coming back. Happy baseball is coming back. Opening day going to be here very soon. Appreciate you making some time for us.
Always happy to join you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. For the rest of you guys, we'll be right back after the break.